Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. Hope you've all recovered from your weekend. It's Monday, which means we try to dig into the news as best that we can. Today, I'm going to be talking specifically about two things. One of them is kind of nonsense but expected, and I'm going to kind of give the Chelsea lowdown on Ole Gunnar Solksjaer being sacked as manager of Manchester United, at least my opinions. Looking forward to, well, Chelsea Man United at the weekend, new manager bounce. Classic, always happens to Chelsea. And then the other story is Mason Mount to Real Madrid. And I know you're all sitting here thinking, what the bloody hell is going on here? Yeah, I know. I think exactly the same thing, to be honest. We're going to dissect this one as best as we can with, well, without really taking it that seriously, can we? But we will talk about that after we discuss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who has been sacked as manager of Manchester United. First things first, I'll give my view on the whole thing because it is the biggest story in football today. And it's been a long time coming. I think there's always been in my head a knowledge, and I say a knowledge because I don't know I'm not, a fortune teller, but it was always kind of going to be difficult for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to ever appease everybody at Manchester United, be that the board and their expectations, football fans of Manchester United and their expectations, with very little managerial experience at the top level, with a CV going down as Cardiff City's worst ever manager is probably not something that will give you the best potential to go to a club like Manchester United, who in terms of a football club have one of the most decorated trophy cabinets in the world. And you're always still trying to fill a void that's been left by someone who is almost irreplaceable. And as we've proved with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's time at United, Sir Alex Ferguson was a one of a kind. He was somebody who was going to be impossible to replace. Louis van Gaal, gone. David Moyes, good manager, gone. Mourinho, gone. Now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is gone as well. And it's been a kind of, I feel sorry for him in a way, because the whole footballing world have been on his back personally. Everyone loves it when United fail. If you're not a Man United fan, it's wonderful to see. And even for me, I've been teasing, saying like, it'd be great if he could stay, because I have never for 1 second believed that Manchester United, after the start of this season, at the start of the season, I looked at the signings and I thought, yeah, you know what? They could actually do it now. People bigged up Jadon Sancho, rightly so, but he's not performed. Cristiano Ronaldo, exactly the same. One of the best players in the world for the last decade and more. So when you look at the business United have done, you could think, yeah, this is great. But at the same time, a lot of it has been pretty unnecessary, because the positions where they really, really needed to strengthen, you can even argue that Jadon Sancho, after a while, was no longer a necessity, especially to spend that much money because of the emergence of Mason Greenwood in the side. And you could look at that central defensive midfield partnership of McTominay and Fred and think, well, surely, after you spend money on Varane, who's a quality centre-back, surely you go for a CDM, or maybe even just go for a captain who's actually good enough, because I don't think Harry Maguire is good enough to be a captain of Manchester United, whose goals and ambitions are to win every trophy there is to possibly be won. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was always fighting a losing battle, just because he is not qualified enough as a manager to deliver the expectations of every single stakeholder involved at Manchester United. And he's even a stakeholder too. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, ex-Man United player, Champions League winner, the dominant player who made it happen. And he was always up against it. And I think there've been so many moments along the road where it could have been now, it could have been here, it could have been there, in terms of him losing his job. And it's not a surprise to anybody. It's also not a surprise to me that Watford dismantled them. I watched Watford away at Everton the other week when they scored 5 at Goodison. Watford are a decent attacking side. They've got some really good players in that team. And this Man United team are there for the taking at the moment. Their heads are all down. Everyone's looking around wondering, when is this inevitability going to come? You can see it from the players. I'm not saying that United players tried to get Ole sacked. I just think it was a club with a bunch of staff who had no idea what they were doing, out of their depth, absolutely 100% being affected by the media attention that comes with a failing Manchester United team. Ole is no longer the manager. It does mean that Michael Carrick is taking over on the interim phase. As for United's replacements, it's pretty hard to see where they're actually going to get somebody who's going to come in and do a decent job. I think Erik ten Hag would probably be the best manager who fits the best kind of match in terms of the ethos of Manchester United and the core values of the club, bringing through youngsters and actually working with a very intricate tactical system that this United team seriously need. Tactically, they've been shambolic. You know, if you go to Istanbul and you've not got a single defender in your own half in a Champions League game and you lose there, you know that there is definitely something wrong. And it's been a repetition now for a while. Michael Carrick is expected to remain as interim manager until the end of this season. So that means looking forward to Chelsea at home to Manchester United at the weekend. It wouldn't be unforeseeable to believe that this Man United team, who are full of really, really good players, they've just been struggling to put it together. Maybe this is the best time for Chelsea to play them whilst there is still this huge cloud right now over the club because they don't think anyone's going to come in. Zidane's turned them down. Is it too soon when you go up against a team as good as Chelsea are right now to suggest that Michael Carrick can do anything to motivate these players? Or what I expect is going to happen is someone like Ronaldo, he's going to stand up in that dressing room and say, you know what? Listen to me for the week. See how this one goes. And we've got a huge game away at Chelsea. And at this point, for United, I don't know if it can get much worse. So for that reason, I think they might come to Stamford Bridge, try and play, get demolished, or they just sit back and just hope for a 0-0 to kind of steady that ship. It is going to be a weird week. We're going to keep an eye on everything, of course, because Chelsea have got Man United at the weekend. I probably wouldn't have spoken about it here on GBFC if there wasn't that little caveat that they are our next opponents at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. But we move into story number 2. And I've got to talk about this one because there was very little Chelsea news today. I didn't just want to talk about Ole Gunnar Solksjaer, but there have once again been reports from Spain. And I know it's always at the moment a report from Spain. I gave you guys my little incentive as to why I think that is. Spanish football's struggling. The Premier League is absolutely just blowing up all over the world right now. And the best teams with the best players are currently in the Premier League. And Spanish reporting outlets, of course, they want to get some traction. They're going to talk about the top teams and the top players. And Mason Mount, apparently, according to a Spanish outlet called Fichajes. Again, I'm dreadful with Spanish pronunciation, but it's spelt like this. I'll put it up on the screen now. They've reported that Real Madrid want Mason Mount because Mason Mount, to quote here, does not feel appreciated at Chelsea Football Club. Now, I don't understand how a Spanish media outlet has managed to get hold of this one. Mason Mount doesn't feel appreciated. How has these words not been reported first in the English media? And also, can we just stop going after Chelsea players, please? Barcelona, Real Madrid. I don't for one second think Mason Mount, whose contract runs out at Chelsea in 2024, I do not see him leaving anytime soon. I think Mason Mount may right now, in terms of what he's being paid at Chelsea, it might not be at the upper echelon of the highest paid players at the club, which you could argue after being Player of the Year, Champions League winner, Mason Mount is probably deserving of a pay rise. But then again, surely every Chelsea player could argue that as a result of being a Champions League winner, top of the Premier League in one of the best performing clubs in Europe right now, everybody could be in that same position where it's like, I feel undervalued. I feel as though compared to other members of the squad, I should be getting the same amount of money. Now, the reason I spoke about this today regarding Mason Mount is because there is a devil's advocate idea to be had here. As much as I do not believe for 1 second this report, I don't think Mason Mount's going to Real Madrid, so don't worry if you look at me as somebody who might have a bit of sense as to what's going on. Mason Mount isn't going to sign for Real Madrid. I don't think he's going to leave Chelsea. I think he might even play his whole career at Chelsea, which is almost impossible to foreshadow, but still, I could definitely see it happening. However, there is this idea at the moment that because there are a lot of players in this Chelsea squad, and we got to think about money in the sense of when a player like a Mason Mount was breaking through at Chelsea, the wages that he could ever demand are so low compared to what he can start to consider once he's been Player of the Year in the first team, wins the Champions League. The disparity between these two figures are massive. So when you look at how many young players there are in this Chelsea team, who might well be looking at their standing within the dressing room and thinking, you know what, I might be young and I might have signed a big deal not so long ago or a new deal, but I think I'm worth a bit more than this. So as much as I don't believe that these reports are gospel truth, I do think it is something that could end up being an issue at Chelsea, which again, we don't really have many issues right now apart from players not signing contracts. But again, Christensen hasn't signed yet. Rudiger hasn't signed yet. And Chelsea have got to be careful. As much as I keep saying give Rudiger whatever he wants to sign the deal, Chelsea have got to be careful that with this success, we maintain the management of individuals within the dressing room so the demands don't become astronomical to the point where Chelsea's wage budget just gets absolutely inflated into oblivion. Because it could potentially happen if, and I don't think this will happen, if Chelsea start to succumb to all of the individual demands from agents and players in the squad. Yes, I definitely believe that there are some players in this squad right now who deserve better contracts than either A, the club have offered, or B, they're currently on. But to say that Mason Mount doesn't feel appreciated, I think is 100% clutching at straws right now. I don't think Mason Mount has said this, and I do think Chelsea will offer him a new deal that reflects the level of importance he has in the first team squad. Rudiger, I think there is definitely a disparity between the amount Chelsea have offered and what he's actually wanting. There is got to be a line that Chelsea draw with how many of these demands we adhere to and therefore offer, simply because we don't want to lose players. Chelsea have to put their foot down at times, which is why I do believe we will lose one of, if not both, of Rudiger and Christensen. I think Rudy might go just because that gap is still a bit too big, and I don't think Chelsea, just to make that statement of, you know what, there's demands, then there's demands, and we've got a structure to adhere to here. Yes, they probably deserve to be some of the highest paid players in the squad, but again, there's a lot of people that could be asking a lot of questions if Chelsea keep throwing out huge contracts willy-nilly to everybody who needs one. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Again, I don't think Mason Mount is going anywhere. I fully expect that this is simply Spanish media clutching at straws, looking at Mason Mount's deal, thinking, yep, Real Madrid need players, Barcelona need players, they could offer him money. Bayern Munich are also interested too. They see Mason Mount as a potential Thomas Muller replacement, which I could actually agree with and see, but man ain't going anywhere. Mason Mount is Chelsea boy. He's going to be here for his whole career. At least that's what I hope anyway. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you didn't see 6 things we learned from Leicester 0, Chelsea 3, it was yesterday's video. Go give it a watch. It's 1 of 10 of my best performing videos in the last 10 videos. So thank you for that. It's still not back up to where it should be, but it was a late video. And thank you all for watching anyway. Turn on bell notifications, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with your Juventus match preview. Come on, you Blues.